Good morning, everybody, and it's Monday, and we're in 2023, and I have invited Michael to come back and join us. We've done some videos with him last year, wealth of information about the local market, and he also works with a lot of trusted advisors, so he kind of knows even the bigger picture when it comes to money and financing. So we're just going to kind of chat today. I asked Michael, we got 2023, what's our long-term outlook? And what's it going to feel like next year? And then what's the positive of what's going to come from that for surviving next year?
Well, Karen, thank you so very much for inviting me. It's such an honor to talk with you. I really appreciate that. Yes, and we do talk nationally, and I have a pretty big YouTube channel, which I would suggest all your subscribers take a look, because we put all our research. We've become a very research-driven organization, and I've been interviewing a lot of top intellectual and financial minds across the world. So lots of good information there. So the question is, what are we going to look at next year? That's really a really good question. So here's our theme for next year. We have an unstoppable economic growth trend here in Maricopa County that is just decades long, maybe 3 decades long. The amount of growth coming here is just phenomenal. And I'm going to talk about just a couple of things, just a couple of trends that are going on. If you go to the West Side, Wall Street Journal just did a short 5 or 6 minute video talking about the growth along the 303. And in that video, they're just absolutely amazed at what's going on, because what's happening is actually less money to truck from Long Beach, bring it here to Phoenix, and then distribute. You can distribute to Nevada, you can distribute to Utah, you can distribute to New Mexico, to Texas, and then you can distribute back to California a whole lot cheaper than what it costs to do that in California. And look at what the workers that for these big companies get. I mean, they get affordable housing, they get good schools, they get really good neighborhoods, great transportation, great climate. And this makes for such a long-term environment. But right at the moment, we have 40 mega warehouses that are under construction along the 303 alone. And when I'm talking about these structures, they're a minimum of 500,000 square feet. Most of them are 1 million square feet. You've got ball jars out there. You've got Wolf just opened up out there. So Wolf Sub-Zero is now just employed 900 people. They opened a factory along the 303. I mean, this is just amazing stuff. And not only that, but everyone knows about the Taiwan semiconductors, and they're building like mad. President Biden was out here 2 weeks ago, and they announced that they were going to quadruple their presence. So that's going to be a $50 to $60 billion facility out there. And of course, that's going to be a magnet. It's going to attract all kinds of other high tech that's going to feed those plants. And it's going to bring in workers. And this isn't entry level stuff. This is really high paid jobs. So the economics of that is just amazing. On top of that, BNSF Railroad had 500 acres on the west side. They were just awarded another 3,500 acres. They were the top bidder, and they're going to do an intermodal transportation hub out there, and going to be, again, bringing in transportation and rail. So we're going to become a huge, huge transportation. And this translates into jobs. And when you have jobs, and these are good paying jobs, this isn't like, working at a retail store. We're talking about really good, high paying jobs. All these people are going to need places to live. They're going to need places to grocery. The whole area is going to explode. And for us, that means that this gives us a really huge, huge opportunity, to invest. And it gives you an opportunity to buy a really good property, because homes out there are very, very affordable. But it's not just the west side. The 202 was just completed on the west side. So we have a southern loop that's open too, with just tons and tons and tons of investable land. And this is going to be decades long. Phoenix is going to become one of the major hubs. And of course, we're getting all kinds of startup tech companies are coming here. It's so much cheaper. I mean, we're just as smart here as in Silicon Valley, only we're about a tenth of the cost. And people are finally realizing that. And of course, we don't have anywhere near the regulations that here in Phoenix that they have in California. Our tax base, here in Arizona, that Arizona just reduced their income tax in half. We went from 4.6% down to 2.3% here in Arizona. Now, how about that? That's really good for us. So we see this. I just see opportunity long term here is just crazy. Now, that said, what do we do in the meantime? Because everything cycles. We've had an extraordinary couple, 2, 3 years here. 2020 and 2021 were just off the charts. We don't get years like that all the time. I'm sure your business was just crazy, and I think we've gone too far too fast. And you and I chatting beforehand, we said you don't want to fight the Fed, and what's the Fed saying? Let's say we're going to raise rates. We're going to kill inflation. I'm going to tell you one of the surefire paths to destroying inflation is a severe recession. That will bring inflation down rather quickly, but then it destroys jobs. I'm expecting unemployment to rise radically. Now, we look at a lot of national figures. I work with international financial people too as well. And we look at the world trends. Rising interest rates is a global phenomenon. All the central banks around the globe are coordinating, and they're all raising rates. I mean, the head of the central bank in New Zealand said they're even engineering. They know that they're engineering a recession. The Bank of England came out and said that England should anticipate the worst recession in 100 years. They came out and said that. They're doing this on purpose. So we see absolutely no possibility of a pivot. And we think the Federal Reserve is going to continue doing what they're going to do. And of course, you and I can only batten down the hatches and get through this. Well, once we get through it, oh my Lord, this is just going to be, it's just going to be absolutely phenomenal. But you and I work with the same type of clientele. You need to protect your income. You certainly need to protect your credit, and you need a little bit of reserves and some down payment. And as soon as we're through here, you're going to make a lot of money. But you and I were chatting. We've seen that in the third quarter of 2023, 47 million new credit cards were issued. It's a record. So that tells me that the consumer is tapped out. They're living their lives on credit, and they're going to run through that. We've also been noticing that the M2 money supply, which goes into the bank accounts, dropped $311 billion in the same Q3. So they're spending their money in their savings, and they're firing up their credit. It's not a pretty picture. It's not a good picture, Karen. That's something we need to be worried about.
That's not, and you said something about because of all these jobs that'll be coming. So, whenever the plants are done. But, 2023 might be a good time to learn about what kind of jobs because they're not going to be lower end, they'll be higher end jobs. And it'd be a great time to get some, maybe education. So when those jobs are available, that you can pivot. Because to me, 2023 is going to be about pivoting. You're going to be able to have to know if jobs are changing, if we're losing jobs. You have to be ahead of that game and be prepared to pivot and to do whatever you need to do. I always said I learned as a young adult, never be afraid of hard work. So even if you learn, and it's done well for me. So if you lose jobs, you have to know, and the end game is going to get really good. So pivot quick, get your education or do something else to get through that. But you're right. The credit card thing is a huge problem, and everybody needs to be a minimalist next year and start working on that debt.
Well, our advice to our clients, keep in mind, we do a lot of consulting. We're more of a investment firm. We do single family homes because I've been in business for so long. We have clients for lots and lots of years, but we have a relationship with business with our clients. Our advice has been to preserve your credit, try and keep your capital intact as much as you possibly can, because we want to deploy that in maybe 24 months. Now, our forecast for next year. Now, I don't mean to be negative on this because business is going to go on. And there is a balancing act here. You may need a home. Now, I'm calling this the revenge of the first time home buyers because they were priced out of the marketplace. You know, all the investors like myself who are paying cash and representing money outbid them, and now prices are coming down. So I fully expect that we're down about 10 to 15%, depending on what parts of the valley. I've been contacted by builders on the west side taking 10% off, so that's $45,000. I've had them taking 15% off, $60,000. I've had a builder take offer a property that they were selling for $450,000. They took $105,000 off that, Karen. $105,000, and then offer it for $345,000, and that's fully done. That's a 1,600 square foot home, front and back landscaping, all the window treatments in, washer, dryer, refrigerator, granite countertops. And here's a first-time home buyer can pick something like that up. You know, they're going to make $100,000. Now, here's the caveat: it could go lower because I think we have a severe recession coming. But what an opportunity! You know, had they won that bid, they'd be $100,000 underwater. And because they were priced out of the market, they actually are going to do so much better than they did when in 2008, when you and I saw that, when everybody was getting it for next to nothing, and then you had these properties drop while you're way underwater. Well, these guys have an opportunity to do this, so we see that. So there is opportunity, but we need to be very, very careful because I do see another 2008 scenario. I think we have a cycle that's completing. You know these things. This will be the third time I've seen this. You and I have been in business for a long time. This is the first time we've seen this. I don't see it going back. I don't see interest rates going back to 4%, 3%. Maybe we get down to the fives. I think we could see that. You know, Mr. Denner that we deal with, he thinks we're going to get to maybe 5. We could break down at the high 4s. That'd be absolutely wonderful. But I don't see it getting much beyond that. And we have a small window, so I think we need our markets are good until probably late second quarter. After that, I think we're going to start entering into a very severe global recession. I don't mean to be so negative on this, but this gives you 5 or 6 months of reasonably good marketing, save some money, get out of debt, get your reserves built up, and we just want to get through the next 24 months. And then, Karen, I'm going to tell you the best time you could ever possibly buy is going to be upon us. So it's just going to be it's going to be an amazing time to be buying property. So we're pretty excited about this. I'm more than happy to talk to anybody. You're welcome to give out my office numbers. They're welcome. If you're in the real estate business, we give you a free consultation. So, and it's confidential. We're not going to tell anybody. And if I may tell it myself, you know, we're teaching a couple of classes. Valentine's Day, February 14th, we are teaching real estate investing for beginners at the Kierland office of West USA. They're allowing us to use their training room, and everyone is welcome to that. And I own a school, you know, because I had trouble getting people to schedule me, so we got our own school. It's an easy thing to do, and we charge $5, $10, or $15 an hour. So real estate investing for beginners is a long class. It's like last time we did it was 4.5, 5 hours. So we charge $69. So that's $15. We also do. I have a class January 31st. That's fiduciary trust and care real estate investors. It's a real estate class, but of course it's geared for investors. Beginners can come to it. It's really set up more for a really seasoned agent, so we can discuss what's going on in the marketplace. We charge $5 an hour for that. 3 hours, $15. You get lunch with it, snacks, whatever it is. So that would be good for me if you want to come to us. And I would suggest I have hundreds of videos. We try and stay very current. We have a really large research section of my firm. And we try and get a lot of that onto YouTube. Now, not all of it goes because we keep a lot of the proprietary stuff private, and we talk to our clients privately. But it'll give you a good idea. So in these turbulent times, I think you really need to educate yourself and really just pay attention. People like you, Karen, who've been talking about this for 2 years, 3 years, 4 years, 5.
We've been watching it come. We chat a lot again off of video, and I'm just a learner, so I just always know there's way more to learn. There's way more I don't know, and I just go to the experts, and I just take, and then I watch. So I'm watching what's happening. I get a feel for the market, and 2023 for I feel mortgage, the industry itself, is really going to go through a lot of corrections like next year, because from the top producers down, there's just isn't anything going on right now. There just isn't. So we're going to have to see what the trend is once we, get going this first quarter. But you've got to be able to pivot. You have to be learning and growing and maybe moving your money around. So you need a good financial partner. The one thing I want to do is different, because from 2008 that we worked through, which was not a good year for mortgages.
No one had a good year then.
No one had a good year. But, I remember we didn't make as much money, but we kept working. But the next year was one of my better years. And the thing is, we stayed in the game and we didn't panic is what we did. And so we were smarter about our money. We were smarter about, things like that. And I think we're saying the same message. You cut down on spending, you save, you just buckle down, and you do get through it. So in the end, like you said, Phoenix is a huge opportunity coming. But you got to be smart in the window. Don't panic, but be smart,
People always need homes, Karen.
They always need homes.
We just need to serve our clients and explain to them what's going on and do the very best with them. There's going to be a huge attrition in the real estate business and probably in the mortgage business as well. So even though the amount of sales probably will drop, it's certainly not going to stop.
Right.
It didn't stop in 2008. It slowed significantly, but it didn't stop. I mean, during the Great Depression, we had 25% unemployed, but that meant 75% of the people were still working. So it's not a good scenario, but it's not hopeless. And I think
there's always deals. There's always deals.
Well, you need to change like you say, you need to pivot. So you need to start thinking, who are my clients? Who's going to be buying now? And if you've got a 3% mortgage, they're probably not going to move. That's a great asset to have, huh?
Yeah. I know one under 3 that I'm not going to get rid of.
Yeah, so what a wonderful thing. But you have all kinds of first-time home buyers that, they only have a couple of choices. If they're renting, they can continue renting or they can buy. So if the price of homes drop 25 or 35%, what a great opportunity. Okay, if they drop 40% and you bought at 35, well, goodness gracious. What a great opportunity that is, because owning a home is more than just financial. I deal in financial, so my guys are just, they're numbers people, but a single family, if you got, you're married, you got a couple of kids, having a backyard, having stability, the kids wake up in the same place, month after month, year after year, they learn all the neighbors and the kids, and then they start going to Boy Scouts and Girl Scouts and dance, and they give a stability for the home, and these mortgages can be paid off. It's just the mortgage. You can eventually, as you build through your credit, you can pay these properties off and you end up with your home, because that's what you're buying is a home. So I think we're going to be just fine. We just need to be very, very careful what we do. I agree with you 100%. You need to really think everything that you need to do. I hope everyone was a little careful for Christmas. And that's not too terribly extravagant, I hope there weren't too many Corvettes.
We have a few more months to get that debt paid off before things might pivot again. But
I think so. Yes.
Well, good. Well, thank you so much for coming on and taking time. We could talk for hours, but if you want to hear Michael for hours, he's got that class in February. I will have all his contact information so you can reach out to him if you want to register for any of his classes, because he does them multiple times throughout the year. And I would recommend, I'm a big advocate for this year of really, my passion is really just teaching young adults, women. There's just a lot of people who don't understand money and wealth and prosperity. And it isn't always about cash, but it's just understanding how the world works. So educate yourselves. There's great people, there's great books. Just don't put your head in the sand, because, it doesn't usually work out well when you just think it'll pan out for you. So anyways, thanks again, Michael. I will probably ask you to come again, because I think there's going to be a lot of news for next year. And again, check out his podcast. I listened to one the other day, and it's just very insightful. So everyone have a great week. Michael, thanks again.
Karen, thank you so much for inviting me. My best to you. Happy New Year.
You too.